Recently, we heard Urban Meyer talk about how good Travis Hunter is, but I feel like we're understating it. I think Travis Hunter will be the X factor for Colorado in 2023, and his performance may determine whether or not they make it to a bowl game, if not further. I'm going to talk about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode, we got a great one. We're going to be talking about Travis Hunter. We're going to be talking about so many cool things, so many good things. The running backs are why I think there's some two rising stars in there. And then we're going to be talking about the era of the transfer portal and how I think it's kind of being overstated how much Coach Prime uses it and understated how much everybody else actually uses it. But before we do, I want you guys to know that this episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege or enter promo code LockedOnCollege for a free white tech hat with any purchase. Get a hat like this. You don't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise you. Okay, so here's the thing. I think Travis Hunter is obviously pretty well known. He was ranked as the number one recruit coming out of high school, number one transfer when he entered the portal. Coach Urban Meyer compared him to Percy Harvin. Coach Prime talked about how Travis is better than he was at this time during Coach Prime's career. And even then, I still feel like we don't really grasp how good and how important Travis Hunter will be. So let me explain. How rare is it to have a wide receiver or a corner who, we'll just go a wide receiver first, who can kind of control how many games you win? You know, I think of guys like, it's hard to think of them because usually if you have a great receiver, it's paired with a great quarterback. It's not often where it's like, oh, this receiver's so elite where it's like he's going to win you games if you give him the ball. I think of Calvin Johnson at the college level, him at Georgia Tech. I think of it's just difficult to come up with names because it's like, how could one receiver be so good, but the quarterbacks not be as good? Maybe like Julio Jones. He was that level. Okay, so we have Julio Jones and Calvin Johnson. Put those names aside. How often do we have a corner who impacts the game so dramatically that it's like, don't throw him the ball, otherwise we will lose the game? Charles Woodson. Probably Coach Prime back in his heyday. More recently, don't know if we have a guy like that. Maybe Dory Jackson, Clark Phillips last year at Utah would be. He had 6 interceptions, something like that. So keeping all those names in mind, if you guys think of someone else who I'm maybe overlooking right now, please let me know in the comments. But combine, say we'll go with the best of each one. We'll go Calvin Johnson and Charles Woodson. Combine those two, that's Travis Hunter. And I still don't think that's enough. Travis Hunter comes in to Colorado probably as their best receiver, their best corner, and the best player on the team. He's one of the best players in the country, and it still feels like we're underappreciating him. Travis Hunter realistically should be considered, I think by the end of the year, will be considered a top 5 player in college football. I think his impact on offense after the catch, his ability to kind of be that target where obviously they have Javon Antonio, 6'4", can probably throw it up and he'll go up and get it. You have Xavier Weaver and Jimmy Horn Jr., who are both really great receivers in their own right. But I think if Shedeur is ever in a bind, he's going to look for number 12, Travis Hunter. He's going to look for Travis. He's going to throw it up to him, and Travis is probably going to catch it. And after that, he's probably going to make a defender miss, or he's probably going to just outrun someone. I think Travis Hunter will be the difference, and could be a hot take. I don't know. I think Travis Hunter's performance for Colorado this year will be the difference between them making a bowl game or the difference between them being a bowl game or not, or them being like an 8-9 win team. If Travis Hunter explodes and say he has over 1,000 yards receiving with 10 touchdowns on the offensive side of the ball, and then on defense he has 4 or 5 picks, is essentially shutting down one side of the field and shutting down the opposing team's best receiver, That makes Colorado infinitely better team because that covers up their flaws. On offense, their flaws are the offensive line. They have great running backs, which I'm going to talk about after this. They have great running backs, but say the offensive line can't block for them and the run game just isn't going. They just got to get Travis the ball. So whether it's on a screen, a jet sweep, one of those little, which I think this is probably a cold take. I think one of my least favorite things in football is the little motion jet sweep thing where quarterback gets it and they just like toss it like right in front of them. They're just like to the guy in motion, and that counts as a pass. I feel like that should be a hand. Like, I know it's not a handoff because obviously it's literally not handing the ball off, but it just feels like that gray area, and I don't know how I feel about it. Either way, not to get sidetracked, just get him the ball on a screen, get him the ball in the jet sweep thing, whether you pitch it to him or whether you hand it off to him, reverses, wildcat, don't care. Don't care at all how you get him the ball. Just get him the ball and good things will happen. We saw it in the spring game. Shedeur wants to force feed Travis. Obviously, I think that could lead to some mistakes, but I think Shedeur is, as we've seen during this fall camp, 22 touchdowns, no picks. I think he's doing quite well for himself. So I'm not too worried about Shedeur getting the ball. But if Travis Hunter explodes this season, and you're getting a game-changing wide receiver who could realistically just make plays for you nonstop. It's just like, think about if you get him the ball 10 times a game and say 3 of those times he's making big runs, 2 of those times it's a touchdown. That's huge. That's huge. That's the difference between winning games and losing games. If you have someone you can just get in the ball and you know that 4 or 5 times a game, he's going to make a huge play. That right there alone that's a recipe for success in and of itself. But you put him on defense and put him up against Dorian Singer at USC, put him up against a Troy Franklin at Oregon, put him up against whoever Utah is going to throw out there, whether it's Micah Pittman or someone else, put him up against. Obviously, TCU has a good receiver. His name's slipping my mind. That's going to replace Quentin Johnson. There's talented receivers up and down the schedule. If Travis Hunter could limit them, that helps the defense, especially if the defensive line isn't getting pressure, but Travis Hunter is shutting down their best receiver. It forces other guys to step up. And we all know college receiver rooms, let's call it what it is. They're either really good as a whole, or it's like one guy's right here and the rest of them are right here, and they're typically only doing good if this guy's doing well himself. So if Travis Hunter's shutting down one of them and putting pressure on other guys who aren't ready to be that main guy, that makes life a lot easier for Colorado. And that's why I think Travis Hunter will be the X factor for Colorado. And I think he's going to end up being one of the best players in college football by the end of the year. He was already ranked as a top player in the country. I think his ranking's only going to rise, and I'm excited to see what he turns out to be moving forward. Moving forward with the episode, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. So just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. You could use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So if you want to get on the betting action, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Take some time to visit FanDuel and go see it. Go see what the props are. Go see what your favorite teams are, the action is. And you can get some bonus bets for just about for as simple as your team winning a game. Just go check it out. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I appreciate you guys for supporting us. Okay, we're talking about the running backs, and I talked about the starters or what we know the depth chart is currently looking like. If you don't remember, it is Alton McCaskill at number 1, and then you have Kavoseiy Smoke at number 2, leaving Anthony Hankerson and Dylan Edwards kind of as those reserve roles. The Doak Walker Award watch list was released today, and they actually had 3. They had Sivion Wilkerson, the Jackson State transfer, mentioned on the list as well. But I'm going to focus on Alton and Kavoseiy for this portion of the show. I think there's a lot of questions, and it's fair because we haven't heard many positive things about the offense line. But the running game on offense, if they are able to kind of make up for what the offensive line lacks and help out the passing game and help out Travis Hunter become that star that we all know he's going to be, whew, this Colorado team is going to shock some people. Um, I think I think it's kind of understated how good Alton McCaskill was in his 1 year at Houston. So I'm going to bring up his stats right here and just give you a little sneak peek of what he did as a freshman. 189 carries, 961 yards, over 5 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns. His longest rush was 36 yards. So obviously he's not or at least at that time, wasn't really busting out big runs all the time, but he's super consistent. Receiving wise, 21 catches, over 100 yards, 5 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. You can use him in you can use him in the run game. You could use him in the passing game. Okay, let me bring up Kavoseiy Smoke. Kentucky transfer. His stats aren't lucrative because obviously he was the backup to Chris Rodriguez, but he's experienced as they come. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th year running back. Started his career off in 2018. This past year, he did decent. He had 58 carries for 277 yards and a rushing touchdown. But let's go back to 2019 when he had much more opportunities. He had 100 carries for 600 yards, 6 yards per carries, and 6 touchdowns, and a 70-yard touchdown. So obviously, when he's given more opportunity, he pops off. I feel like that's probably the case for most guys, unless they're just not that good and you don't want them to get more opportunities. But the thing with Kavoseiy Smoke and not Anthony Hankerson, Alton McCaskill, they're going to be the perfect 1-2 combo. If you look at, and I always like to do this, and you guys know I like to do this, so let's just do it anyway. We're going to go to the 2022 stats for Kent State and look at their running backs. They have 2 running backs. One of them had far more carries than the other. He had 285 carries for 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns. Then the next running back had 64 carries for 300 yards. So obviously, Kavoseiy, when he had 58 carries, had nearly 300 yards and a touchdown. And then Alton, when he had nearly 200 yards, he had 961 yards. So assuming Alton is the lead guy and he gets 230 yards, his numbers are going to be astronomical. His impact is going to be astronomical. This offense is all about moving fast. And if they could keep these guys fresh and keep these guys just boom, you just got hit with the Alton punch. Boom. Alton again. Boom. Kavoseiy comes in. Boom, boom, boom. Just keep flipping them. Defenses aren't going to know what hit them. They're kind of different sizes and different builds, I guess, different types of running backs. Kavosei's 5'9", 215, whereas Alton's 6'1", 200. So you get a little bit of both. In both the running backs, you get some power, you get some speed. And I think that'll really help take the pressure off Shedeur, who I don't think Shedeur needs the pressure taken off of him because he's a Sanders, like he said, doesn't feel the pressure. But one less thing he has to do, if he could just hand it off to these running backs, say 20 to 30 times a game, and they just go out there and make some plays for him, that makes his life easier. It makes life easier on the offense, makes life easier on the defense. And I think realistically, when I look around the Pac-12, I don't see a running back room or at least a 1-2 combo where I'm like, that running back combo is significantly better than these two. I would say Utah has a very decent running back combo. I think USC has a potentially good running back combo. Oregon State has a really good running backs. And other than that, I think there's good individuals, but I don't think there's a running back duo out there, running back tandem where I'm like, they clear these guys. I think Colorado's running backs have the best chance to be the best duo in the Pac-12, and I think that could be huge for the offense. And it really, especially Pac-12 defenses last year, not the best. Let's look at the Pac-12. Let's look at the rush defense rankings last year and see where all the Pac-12 teams ranked. Because honestly, I think outside of Oregon State, there was not many. There weren't many defenses where I was like, "Oof, That was good. That was good right there. So up first, we look at rushing defense. Oregon State had the best rushing defense, only allowing 108 yards per game. They ranked 15th in the country. Utah 18th in the country. So those two guys solid. Washington 26th, Oregon 30th, not bad. UCLA 35th. They lost some guys. Washington State 41. Okay, so you got Washington State, Oregon, Washington. So about 5 schools. Then you continue on, go on to the next page. Looking at, let's see, don't see anybody there. Don't see anybody there. Yeah, there's quite a big decline. USC is the next Pac-12 team, and they ranked 80th in the country in rushing defense this past season. And then you keep going. Now we're on page 3. This is where a majority of the Pac-12 is. Arizona State, 107. They obviously replaced a lot of players. They brought in some good guys, but they're replacing a lot. Nebraska, who Colorado plays, 109th. Just putting that out there. Let's see. Other Pac-12 schools. Stanford, 127th. So I'm just saying, Colorado has a very good running back duo and a lot of defenses that they're going to be facing. Didn't have the best rushing defense, and even the ones that had good rushing defenses last year, they're going to be replacing some key guys. So let's look out for these running backs, and let's basically, I'm telling you right now, if this duo isn't at least a top 3 duo in the Pac-12 by the end of the season, just know the season went horribly wrong. That's my take on that matter. Let me know who you think is going to have more rushing touchdowns and more rushing yards in the comment section below, because I think it's a pretty split battle. And so you never know what could happen. But either way, what we do know is that this episode is also brought to you by our lovely sponsor of Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs. They make you look good. Their stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and the leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Bird Dogs shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. They fit way better than the regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. And these Bird Dogs, they fix the issue. They invented cloud knit fabric. No one else has it. That looks just like khaki, but stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice the movement. Bird Dogs uses anti-sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. I personally love my Bird Dogs. Wear them for just about everything. Also, if you order your Bird Dogs, put on a little commitment right here, little commitment video vibes right here. They get you this nice hat. So if you want this hat, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege or enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege for a free white tech hat with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege or a promo code LOCKEDONCollege for a free white tech hat. You don't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you this hat's super comfy. I love it. Looks good on me. Okay, back to the show. Gotta let it flow. Last thing on the docket. And I wanted to talk about this because I think it's kind of, I won't say it's ironic, but I also think it's just the way that college football is headed right now. It's the era of the transfer portal. I saw an article talking about how many transfers there are, specifically at the quarterback position. It was 62% of quarterbacks are transfers. I thought it was interesting because, one, it goes to show how many programs value getting a guy out of the portal with experience, and how often guys are jumping into the portal to get maybe a new opportunity. I think it's kind of ironic that obviously college football itself is leaning on the transfer portal as heavily as it is, but also criticizing Coach Prime. I think Coach Prime is using the transfer portal at a different rate, and I think he revolutionized the transfer portal. Whether it's a good revolutionary move or a bad one, we're going to find out after this year or after his tenure at Colorado. But I thought it was interesting. Transfers, they just offer more value right now. Until there's more transfer restrictions, which I doubt there is. There's transfer restrictions on the 2-time transfer guys like Seydou Traore, for example, who is probably going to have to sit out at Mississippi State. But transfers are more valuable. And until they're not, college football is going to value them. They're going to rely on them. Why would you take a chance on a 4-star receiver out of, say, Texas, when you could go get a wide receiver like Jimmy Horn or Xavier Weaver, who was one of UCF's all-time leading receivers, and he comes in, starts, is experienced, you replace him, you still recruit high school guys, But those guys now have a year of experience, and if they don't, then you just go out and get the next version of Xavier Weaver. I just thought it was ironic that Coach Prime has caught so much flack for using the transfer portal when all of college football is using the portal. Maybe not as much as him, but they're using it. And so I just wanted to show you guys how important the transfer portal has become, because realistically, let's take a look at our past champions. Georgia, they don't really use the transfer portal a lot. They're kind of an anomaly. But let's go take a look at LSU, Joe Burrow, Oklahoma. They didn't win the championship, but obviously they had Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts. Alabama's used the portal for certain positions. Ohio State, they've used the portal. Maybe not all around, but they still do use it. And I think using the transfer portal is going to be something that it only is going to continue to grow. I'm interested to see how it affects high school recruiting. But yeah, I want to bring that up because I feel like Coach Prime is catching way too much flack for his use of the portal when realistically everybody's doing it. Are they doing as much? No, but does that make it any better? I don't know. Not that anything's wrong with it, but you can't play the hero when you're doing the same thing, just in a lesser manner. So transfer portal era is here. We're going to see if it sticks. We're going to see if the transfer portal era continues or if it continues to kind of fizzle out and there becomes a focus on high school guys once again. But yeah, so transfer portal era, it's here to stay until it's not. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs. We got some great episodes coming up. We have Jake Crane coming up. We're going to preview the TCU game, the Utah game, the Nebraska game next week. Great games, great episodes coming up. I'm excited to see what you guys think. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I will see you guys tomorrow.